Ashwagandha is one of the most popular herbal nootropics out there today. People use it for anxiety, stress, exercise, and even fertility. But does it actually deliver? In this podcast, we're discussing everything you need to know about ashwagandha, including how it works in the body, the science, its benefits, dosing, side effects, and much more. Let's jump into it. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Holistic Nootropics podcast. My name is Eric, and I'm here to help you boost your supplement and nootropic performance. One way you could do that is by heading on over to holisticnootropics.com and downloading a copy of my free supplement buying guide. I created this buying guide to help you identify all of the problematic ingredients that are being put into supplements being sold in the $100 billion supplement industry today, because believe it or not, most of the supplements being sold today are absolute junk because they are filled with all of these problematic fillers, excipients, preservatives, all kinds of toxic ingredients that take away from the beneficial aspects of the supplement products you're buying in the first place. So you can use this guide to identify those fillers and preservative ingredients to avoid, to make sure you are only buying the best quality supplement and nootropic products being sold out there today. Again, you can download that guide for free over at holisticnootropics.com. Also, if you are new to the Holistic Nootropics podcast and you're watching this either on YouTube or the audio version, please take a second and remember to subscribe. And if you are in fact enjoying this podcast, if you're watching this on YouTube, give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down in the comments below, and we'll continue the conversation down there. And if there's anything you want to know specifically pertaining to this video, everything is timestamped in the description below, so you can hop around however you'd like. Okay, let's jump into today's podcast all about ashwagandha. So what is ashwagandha? Ashwagandha is an adaptogenic herb. It's maybe one of the most popular adaptogenic herbs. And if you don't know what an adaptogenic herb is, plainly, simply put, it is a compound that can physiologically help your body adapt to the physiological response of stress. So that includes stress hormones, that includes your entire hypothalamus pituitary axis. And I made an entire video about how adaptogens specifically do this. I'll link to that here in the video, either above or below. So traditionally, ashwagandha has been used for many years in Ayurvedic medicine, specifically for stress, anxiety, sexual health and libido, and improving physical performance. In fact, it's also known as Indian ginseng, winter cherry, or the poison gooseberry. But recently, here in Western cultures, it's become a very popular nootropic compound for its cognitive enhancing properties, which include its ability to boost physical performance and improve specifically testosterone and testosterone-related things like libido, fertility, sperm count, sperm motility, a lot of different things geared towards male fertility and male hormones. So, but it can also help female hormones as well, and females do need testosterone as well. Now, one of the most important things you need to know about ashwagandha, if you're going to go out there and buy it, is that there are two different kinds of ashwagandha being sold out there. Now, if you don't go for the nootropic versions, like you just want the herb ashwagandha, you can find the herb ashwagandha typically in tinctures or in supplement forms. You'll find those all over. But you will also find ashwagandha being sold in two different forms, either KSM 66 or Sensoril. So these are extracts with super potent versions of the traditional, or they are super potent versions of traditional Withania somnifera. That's the plant that ashwagandha comes from, but they have some different attributes that differentiate them. So KSM 66, first off, is a full spectrum ashwagandha extract. This is really kind of the more nootropic version. So if you are looking for ashwagandha specifically for nootropic benefits, it's best to go with the KSM 66. The extraction process includes pre-treating the ashwagandha roots with milk, as is done by traditional Ayurvedic healers and throughout their texts. And so this reinforces the full spectrum ashwagandha benefits. So the biggest benefit that has been studied from KSM-66 is its ability to lower anxiety. So you're going to find that this contains anywhere between 8 and 15% withanolides, which are the bioactive steroid-based constituents of ashwagandha. It's really this number between 8 and 15%. That's the ideal number. You don't want that too low because then you're going to miss out on the on what makes ashwagandha really bioactive in your body, but you also don't want too high because then the constituents can become toxic. And then you have Sensoril, which is actually made from the roots and leaves. This has a higher withanolide content because it's more comprehensive because it's from the roots and the leaves versus just the roots, which is what KSM-66 comes from. And this one actually elicits a more sedating, more relaxing adaptogenic quality of ashwagandha. So at the end of the day, it's bio-individuality. So what works best? KSM-66, that tends to be the more popular version used within nootropic, that you're going to find for nootropic purposes. But, you do have people who benefit more from the Sensoril version. So my suggestion is if you are looking for nootropic benefits of ashwagandha, start with KSM-66, but don't shy away from the Sensoril version either. You're going to find that one out there in the marketplace. And so if you want to, if you take KSM-66, you don't have a good experience from it, turn around and try the Sensoril version. And then you might know, okay, maybe you respond better to that one. Everybody responds differently. It's just kind of, a broad outlook at the difference between the two. But at the end of the day, it's still ashwagandha. It's still going to have the withanolides. It's still going to give you a lot of the benefits that you get. It's just that there are a few differences between the two. So in short, try both, see which one works best for you. So who is ashwagandha good for? So ashwagandha, it is the granddaddy adaptogen that you should be using for stress control. So let's say you've identified in yourself, you have an overactive stress response. Maybe you've taken a Dutch hormone test and you see that you have very high cortisol and you're a little worried about that. Even though I don't think that's the best way to interpret a Dutch test, do you have high cortisol? Is that a problem? You have to apply some more context to that. But let's say you do feel as if you do have an overactive stress response. You tend to get stressed out very easily. The physical manifestations of stress, they do cause you more anxiety. It causes you sleeplessness at night. It is causing you, different, maybe it's making you sick a lot, whatever it is. Ashwagandha could probably help, because that's what it's for. It's for stress. Male fertility. So if you're a male who feels as if you're low in testosterone, ashwagandha can be helpful. And then really anyone looking for these certain nootropic benefits, so anti-anxiety, more calm, more sedation. Again, those who are stressed out, those looking for a little bit more of a relief from anxiety, that's who ashwagandha is good for. How does ashwagandha work? So in the brain, ashwagandha is a GABA-A agonist, which is also the main target of most of your pharmaceutical anxiolytic therapies. It's also been shown to boost serotonin, and so these contribute to its anxiolytic antidepressant profile. So, there is some research out there showing that ashwagandha can be beneficial for depression, definitely for anxiety. And so you also get a neuroprotective effect. So there is some preclinical evidence that shows ashwagandha has the ability to promote neurogenesis. So it boosts neural growth factor, BDNF, which of course gives it neuroprotection, more synaptic plasticity, that sort of thing. In the body, as an adaptogen, it calms the HPA axis. That is your main stress superhighway from the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal axis. And so it can calm that response. And it's that overactive response that creates more stress hormones, more feelings of stress, excess cortisol, et cetera, et cetera. Again, I talk all about that in the adaptogens video, which I have linked here in this video. And then you also see some anti-inflammatory and immune boosting properties from ashwagandha. So the main benefits: stress reduction, antidepressant, anti-anxiety, male fertility, and cortisol, may lower cortisol. In fact, there are clinical studies measuring how much, actually, let me come back to that. So you're going to see okay, let me start over. So the main benefits of ashwagandha: stress reduction, antidepressant, anti-anxiety, can boost male fertility and testosterone. That's due to its ability to lower cortisol, because the higher cortisol you have, the lower your testosterone is going to be. This has been seen in many preclinical studies, but specifically it has also been seen in human studies as recently as 2022. This study was an 8-week randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial with 50 adult males who each took 300 milligrams twice a day of KSM 66 ashwagandha. So that's 600 milligrams a day. Now, the results were compared to placebo. Ashwagandha root extract supplementation was associated with a statistically significant increase in the total perception of sexual well-being and actual serum testosterone. So they felt more sexual benefits, and they also had higher levels of testosterone in their blood. And that was in 8 weeks, 600 milligrams a day of KSM 66, done in 2022. You're also going to see sleep benefits. Nootropic benefits you're going to see with memory, and so this has been studied in humans. There was one study that showed 1,000 milligrams of ashwagandha in an aqueous extract, so a liquid extract, for 2 weeks. Double-blind, placebo-controlled observational trial showed an increase in memory and executive function. And then there was another randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial with 50 subjects who had memory impairment, early dementia, or a low score on a general cognitive function test. They either took placebo or 600 milligrams of ashwagandha for 8 weeks. At the end of the 8 weeks, participants taking the ashwagandha saw statistically significant improvements compared with the placebo group in most memory tests, executive function, and attention, though not visual spacing processing. So what these two studies show is that those taking ashwagandha in double-blind, placebo-controlled randomized trials did see boosts in both memory and executive function metrics. So in the body, some benefits include possible lowering of LDL cholesterol and blood glucose. Again, remember, the endocrine system, where all the hormones are, the testosterone, the estrogen, even the cortisol, that all runs alongside glucose metabolism. So if you are seeing benefits in cortisol, you're probably going to also see benefits in blood glucose metabolism, which you see here. For exercise, it has been shown to increase weight training power output and VO2 max. It has been shown to improve bone health, bone density, so bone health, and it's also being studied as a possible treatment for cancer. So I'd rather not get into all that. That's a little bit above my pay grade, but you get the idea. Lots of benefits to ashwagandha. There are also some potential side effects that you want to look out for. Now, it has not been studied, these side effects. When they do these studies, they're not seeing many side effects, but you do see a lot of people discussing possible side effects online. So, there are people. Well, first you should know that Withaferin A, which is one of the bioactive constituents, it can be cytotoxic in higher amounts, specifically to red blood cells. So you want to be careful of the Withaferin A content. Typically, most sellers of ashwagandha have that one under control, but this is also why you don't want to take so much ashwagandha. You also get people complaining about things like anhedonia and emotional dampening. That may be due to the cortisol lowering and the, over sedation. So it's basically kind of over numbing you. It's kind of relieving stress to the point where, well, now you're not feeling anything. You might just feel kind of like a mush, maybe a little bit too chill. So people do complain about that, but then some people, that's not a problem for. So this is really why it's best to cycle on and off. So you don't want to take ashwagandha indefinitely. You want to say, I'm going to take it for 2 weeks. I'm going to take it for 2 months. I'll take it for 3 months, but then I'm going to pause. I'm not going to take 1,000 milligrams a day. Maybe I'll take 1,000 milligrams a day for a week and see what happens. Although I would not recommend going that high. There's really no reason to go above 600 milligrams, especially considering that's what's been studied in people. Now, you also see side effects kind of bleeding into people with thyroid issues, and people who have anxiety have complained that taking ashwagandha has actually made their anxiety symptoms worse. And you want to be careful if you're taking specific pharmaceutical medications like SSRIs, anxiolytics, benzodiazepines, anything like that, because people using that stuff have noted ashwagandha did exacerbate their symptoms. So really, at the end of the day, like everything else we talk about with nootropics, it's all about individuality. It's all about bio-individuality. You want to make sure you are really setting your foundation with diet, with lifestyle. You never want to rely on a nootropic, especially something like ashwagandha, which can be so potent. You never want to rely on that itself. You want that to get you the last, 10 to 15%. That means you have to do the first 85 to 90% yourself. You have to get yourself to a point where your sleep is on point, your diet's on point, you're hydrated, you have good relationships, breathing is on point, you're getting light exposure, you're doing all of the things that we know just because of the human body is the way it is that will make you feel good. Now you want to take that to the next level with something like ashwagandha. It will get you there, but if you haven't covered your foundational bases, it's going to be hard to get you there. And so I also talk a lot about building that foundation in my video, the top 3 things to do before taking nootropics. I'll link that here in the video description below, or in the podcast description below. So with dosing, I think the best dose to do, especially to start with, 300 milligrams up to 600 milligrams. You could even go lower and see how you feel. If you're not feeling anything, bump it up to 3, bump it up to 450, bump it up to 6. If you're not feeling anything, it's 6. If you're not getting any benefit, if it's starting to make you feel worse, then you have to go revisit that foundation again. What's going on with your foundation? Is your diet not on point? Are you eating, toxic food? Are you drinking soda? Do you have a lot of, high fructose corn syrup, vegetable oils, fried foods? Are you not sleeping right? Are you stressed out beyond anything that something like ashwagandha can help you with? Have you done any meditation, any yoga, any exercise? Are you getting sufficient light? All of these things. If 600 milligrams is not cutting it for you, then you have to go back and visit that stuff. And personally, I don't regularly take ashwagandha. I have, and the way that I find it best is to do it later in the day, maybe earliest like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I would not use it in the morning because, again, it can sedate you. You don't want to bump down your cortisol in the morning. That's when you're supposed to have higher cortisol. And then, later in the day, as you want to start kind of relaxing into the night so you can start producing melatonin, it's probably better at that point. And when you stack it, different nootropics you could use it with. There have been actual studies done with ashwagandha paired with Gatu Cola, which has similar benefits, especially the anti-inflammatory and anxiolytic benefits. Other nootropics that are good with ashwagandha, bromantane can be really good because that also has anti-anxiety, antidepressant benefits, and it's super potent. N-acetyl L-tyrosine can be a good one to get your brain going, to produce some more dopamine. L-theanine would be an interesting one to pair ashwagandha with because that's going to, that is also not so much sedating, but it can make your brain into that, turn your brain into that alpha state, so the more meditative. So you're using ashwagandha to calm the stress, to relax. L-theanine is going to give you a very similar feel, but it's also going to activate the brain. So if you want to still be, cognizant in the afternoon, you don't want to be over sedated, but you want to relax, but you still want the brain to be on, L-theanine's great for that. And then you're also going to probably find some good success using like a lion's mane mushroom or a reishi mushroom, especially if you're building yourself kind of a later in the day evening stack. Reishi with ashwagandha is great because reishi is also very relaxing. NSI 189 would be an interesting nootropic to pair with ashwagandha because you're going to get you're going to amplify the neural growth factor benefits, And if you don't want to mess with building your own stack, I think a great stack that's out there that includes ashwagandha, it's called Testo Lab Pro. So this is a stack that's built specifically to help increase testosterone naturally, as it uses mucuna zinc, vitamin D, and boron in addition to KSM 66. So that's really all you need to know about ashwagandha. There's plenty more to be said, but this is going to cover really the basic bases of what you need to know before you start using ashwagandha. And I'd love to know what you think. Are you someone who is interested in using ashwagandha, or you have used ashwagandha? What form have you used? What is your story? What is your success? What is your what side effects have you dealt with? Let me know your ashwagandha stories down in the comments below, and I'll be sure to respond to all those. Again, if you are looking for the best quality supplements and nootropics and the best nootropic education out there today, head on over to holisticnootropics.com. Be sure to download the supplement buying guide, and I will catch y'all on the next video.